When I got to San Francisco to meet my girlfriend at the youth hostel from an airplane instead of a car, and I explained to her that I didn't have a car to drive us to Seattle to live happily ever after, she explained that I didn't have a girlfriend. And I was like, yeah, pretty much, yeah. So I slept in the bushes outside of the Berkeley station. And in the morning around 6:30, I caught a 34-hour train back to New Mexico and proceeded to live in a 1964 Ford Galaxy 500 station wagon, sleeping in an American flag for 6 months. I didn't really have great planning skills at that time. I was 24 years old, and I'd met her a couple of months before, and she'd graduated from college, and I was even halfway through, and, I figured, who needs love when, or who needs an education when you have love? And so she said she was going to go out to Seattle and be a performance artist, and I thought, this sounds like a great plan. I'm a musician, I'll go with you. And I had a friend who'd already sold me a car sight unseen that was sitting in Albuquerque, and all I had to do was get there, get the car, drive it to San Francisco, pick her up, drive to Seattle, become rock stars with the grunge and teach grunge to play jazz. And it was an easy peasy. Yeah, you laugh. So when it didn't work out, I probably should have known. And I took that 34-hour train. I didn't have a sleeping seat. I had like an upright seat. So I'd sit in the food car. They have these sun cars where there's no ceiling except windows. And I just, read East of Eden, which was this tome by John Steinbeck about brothers. And there I am on this train going through the Salinas Valley where that whole novel takes place. And I'm sitting with an old retired farmer and his wife, who's a children's book illustrator. And they tell me all about, over there, those are snap peas, and this is how they grow them. And she'd draw a little picture of snap peas, and those are artichokes, and this is how they cultivate artichokes. And I was just alert to the fact that, even when things really, really screw up, you have no skills at 24 years old to do anything. And I had no money, and to get that plane to San Francisco, I'd opened a brand new American Express card because they were giving them out like candy at the college campuses back then. And I pretty much maxed it out to get the plane ticket to San Francisco and the train back to Albuquerque. So I had to default on that pretty quickly. And I was living in this car, and yet, despite all the challenges, I think that love is like that. It's going to take you all the way across the country. It's going to kick your ass in a wonderful kind of way because suddenly you've gone somewhere. You've had a life. And just earlier today, I got this phone call from a former student of mine. He graduated in 2012. He's West Philadelphia. He'd been in a juvenile detention facility for a year and lived in my house off and on. And, he's got this girlfriend a couple months ago and decided to go out to Colorado to become a bud tender, which is sort of like a bartender, only a little different. And, she had a car, and, he had a heart. And, of course, she drove away in the car, and he's still got his heart, but it's pretty broken. And he's calls me up, and he's just like, is this what it's like? And I was like, dude, yeah, that's what it's like. And yet, he said, I deserve this. I said, you get this. You got it. Keep going. The emptier your hand is, the more you can feel your own beating heart. And you've done something crazy. You've trusted, the universe and gone out there and had this this risk, like I'm going to do anything for the sake of a crazy adventure. And it's probably really cold in Colorado right now, but like, I remembered something, when I was stranded in New Mexico, my grandfather had written me a letter, because I'd written him a letter, and he said, I'm really glad you're doing something sort of crazy like when I was your age, and if memory serves me correctly, you're broke right now, so here's $100. So nowadays you have Cash App, you have Venmo, and he's got a phone. So I sent him $100 while he was asleep. And this morning, he calls me up. It's my afternoon, pretty much. But he's like, I'm not going to touch that. I'm going to do this. So that's bittersweet.